刘培元的英文教室正确发音篇第177集啊，我们回顾第21到30集我有15个 YouTube 频道，我把它切割成15个跟每一个都可以独立的按订阅，所以尽可能的帮我按15个订阅大部分都只按一个。那因为我们前面21到30我们都讲过了，很清楚发音各种方方面面都讲过，所以我们这边只复习回顾我们只是念所以你也跟着念你也练一下自己的发音你也可以不念就看这个字练习听力或者完全不看都可以就回顾一下，我们把这些字念得像接近美国发音。 Ancient 像这些中文什么意思当然后面我会把后面的我就把它写上去，前面没有写上去但是前面都已经意思讲过，所以这边什么意思这个字什么意思这个句什么意思我们就不再重复，因为前面都讲过了。 Ancient My son was highly interested in the history of ancient Greece. My son was highly interested in the history of ancient Greece. People have lived in this plain since ancient times. People lived in this plain since ancient times. End. The old gentleman is wise and generous. The old gentleman is wise and generous. Angel. According to the myth, an angel has 2 or 6 wings. According to the myth, an angel has 2 or 6 wings. Anger. Being cheated by an old friend, the devil full of anger. Being cheated by an old friend, devil was full of anger. Angle. The ship towed at a 20-degree angle in a storm. The ship towed at a 20-degree angle in a storm. Angry. My mother was angry with me because I didn't wash the dishes. My mother was angry with me because I didn't wash the dishes. Anguish. Would you like to share your anguish losing your mother with me? Would you like to share your anguish of losing your mother with me? Animal. Mary has been and indeed protector of animal welfare. Mary has been and indeed a protector of animal welfare. Animate. He was animated by her teacher's encouragement. Anniversary. My wife and I celebrate our 10th wedding anniversary. Annual. The government published an annual report on the national defense budgets next year. Another. Would you like another cup of coffee? Answer. Please write down your answers on this paper. Ant. It's terrible that I saw countless ants crawling on the floor in the kitchen. Antagonist. The performance of his antagonist in that tennis game was splendid. Antarctica. There are dozens of outposts established by different countries in Antarctica. Antenna. You can only hear poor sounds from the radio without the antenna. You can only hear poor sounds from the radio without an antenna. Anticipate. We anticipate that he will repay the debt tomorrow. We anticipate that he will repay the debt tomorrow. Antique. I spend a lot of sun and money to buy the antique desk. I spend a lot of sun and money to buy the antique desk. Anxiety. He has been feeling a lot of anxiety over his new job. He's been feeling a lot of anxiety over his new job. Anxious. Most people are anxious about their future. Most people are anxious about their future. Any. You may ask any question in this math class. Ape. Chimpanzees and gorillas are both apes. Apology. The Minister of Education issued a public apology for his inappropriate policy. The Minister of Education issued a public apology for his inappropriate policy. Apparent. His inability of communication is apparent. Appetite. John lost his appetite due to his stomach ache. Applaud. The audience stood and applauded at the end of speech. Apple. I prefer apples to orange. Approach. The judge ordered two attorneys at both sides to approach. Approve. I don't approve your project. You need to make some adjustments. April. My aunt will visit us this coming April. Aptitude. The new test is supposed to measure the aptitudes of students. Arab. The Arab countries include Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Syria, and Egypt. Arrange. She arranged her flowers on the table. Arrest. The police arrested him on drug charges. Arrogant. My boss is so arrogant that almost nobody is capable from his view. Arrow. People use arrows and bows to shoot enemies in ancient wars. My son is almost as tall as I. Yes. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust is a famous proverb. Asia. China and Taiwan are both situated in Asia. China and Taiwan are both situated in Asia. Ask. Are there any questions you want to ask? Aspect. Just the most promising aspect of the situation. There's the most promising aspect of the situation. Aspirin. I had a headache, so I took a couple of aspirin. Ass. Don't be such an ass. Assault. He was accused of sexual assault. Assemble. I assembled all my new photos into an album. Assent. My new selling plan was assented by boss. Assert. My son asserted that I should join the army. Assess. Any newcomer in our company will be assessed on his or her expertise for at least 3 months. Asset. The company had to sell some of its assets to avoid bankruptcy. Getty was an asset of CIA. 啊，我们再念一下，慢慢多熟悉一下啊。你多练习以后，掌握这些窍门，花一点时间啊。每个人快慢啊，有的人很快就进入状况啊，有的人可能慢一点，有的人就是慢啊。但是平均来讲啊，如果持之以恒啊，很快的啊，发音就会长进啊。然后突然有一天啊，很快了，不会说10年、20年、30年，没那么久了，就是顶多几个月啊，3个月、半年了啊。差不多这样子啊，就是真的有在练啊，但有的爱练不练的，就可能1年啊，那不一定啊，就会发觉自己跟老外发音很像啊。所以我这个正确发音是我15个频道里面其中之一个正确发音啊，这个也可以按订阅啊，常见错误也可以按订阅，所以总共可以按15个，麻烦大家捧个场啊。这集讲到这里。